everyone, and welcome back to Just with Dara. This is the second episode of season 3, and in today's episode, we have a guest, and I'm really excited because she also had the idea for this episode in one of the Instagram responses that I did. So I'm really excited to record this episode. You can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Allison. I'm 15.
Thank you. So she, being that she had the idea for this episode, and as you can tell by the title, we're talking about the obsession with Eurocentric beauty standards. I think it's a really great topic, and I'm really glad that she had the idea for it. So, that being said, she also went ahead and created the prompts for this episode as well. So, I'll let you go ahead and start with that.
Okay, sounds good. So, I wrote a few questions that should lead us into discussion. So, the first question is, what features come to mind when you're told to describe beauty?
It's interesting because, like you said, like when you said first comes to mind, it is sad to admit, but I think like the first thing that comes to my mind is like a slimmer person, and maybe
Yes.
someone who um has like curves like in all the quote all the right places, and like that hourglass figure. And then yeah, that's kind of what comes to mind. Which I have like in the past tried to like stop thinking of it that way because like that's not what should be coming to my mind first. But that's for like a female, of course. But and then like for a guy, it'd be like fit and like I guess like muscles, but
Yeah, I understand. So, being Hispanic, I have very strong features, and I always thought I would be prettier if I have a smaller nose.
yeah, I get that. I think something that like when you had said like with you being Hispanic, that kind of made me think about like what specifically I feel like would kind of be like a big thing like in the Nigerian community. I feel like with that it'd probably be like I think it'd be like being fair skinned, which I kind of talked.
Yeah, in a lot of societies, that is the
Hmm.
standard, or what society deems as more beautiful.
Yeah, which like I kind of touched on that in the colorism episode, which was the last episode of season 2. And it just seems like it's like you're prettier if you have like fairer skin and if you're lighter and not as dark, and that's obviously wrong as well.
As we look at how our beauty standards have evolved, we see that white women are getting tans more.
Hmm. I have thought about that because, well, I remember like in 5th grade, so this one girl was talking about how like she was like, I guess like her mom was saying it to her, so she was kind of just repeating. She was like, white people always want to be darker and like be like black people now, and it's like kind of switched from before because like a lot of times darker
Yeah,
like will like bleach themselves and try to make themselves lighter, but then now you see a lot of like white people who are like tanning themselves and it's like to be darker. So it's just kind of interesting how that like switches. Same as like the whole thing with like switching, like when beauty standards switches, like when back then, like I want to say like I'm gonna say like 1600s,
mhm.
a rough estimate. But anyways, I think yeah, our one of our teachers was talking about this about how the beauty standard there was like to be bigger because it showed that you had like wealth and because
Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah, you were like more plump or whatever. But like now it's like to be slimmer and skinnier and not to be like big or whatever. So that just kind of shows how that switched as well.
Yeah, it kind of brings up the topic where it sounds bad to say, but it is the truth that body types are going in and out of trend
Hmm.
because a lot of women now are getting breast augmentations because during the Marilyn Monroe era, you basically had to resemble the letter P if you wanted to be known as beautiful, you know?
Yeah,
Whereas now it's the hourglass body, and now white women are getting lip injections.
yeah, to make their lips bigger and more plump because that's like a beauty thing now. Whereas I know even I'm gonna say even when I was like I'm gonna say even when I was younger, because like my lips are bigger, so like everyone
Mhm.
like always like said something about my lips. Like sometimes like the first time I saw someone, they're like, "Wow, your lips are really big," and they said it like in a negative way, like, "Oh, you have really big lips." And I remember like someone was teasing me about it in 7th grade as well. And then my friend, what she said to me to like make me feel better, which was kind of funny. She was like, "Don't be sad. Kylie Jenner wanted your lips." So I kind of thought that was funny, but it just kind of shows how like things like that kind of switch and like like things that people might have got made fun of are like now becoming like you said a trend or
Yeah,
become
I've had the same comments said to me about my lips, because my mom has very thin ones and I came out with my dad's lips. And also, I was told one time I had very, like, just big facial features, and it was in a bad connotation, and I took it in a bad way. But now, like, I don't know, it makes me feel pretty to think, oh yeah, Kylie Jenner did pay for those lips.
Yeah. So yeah, I always think about that because it did. I don't know, like it was funny, but like it did actually make me feel better somehow. I don't know why. In a way that is like I feel like that should have been what made me feel better because I shouldn't be using someone else's standard of beauty to try to make myself feel better. But um, yeah, I guess that's just how it went though. So
Yeah, I understand. But it's obviously not coming from a bad place, you know?
yeah,
Well, what do you believe makes you beautiful? We kind of touched on this.
yeah, I guess I don't know. I feel like I like my lips now. I don't know. I don't. It's not like it's not like I feel like it makes me beautiful, but I just kind of like my lips now. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I've gotten to where it's like, yeah, like I'm okay with them now. And then also like, I know I've had like struggles before with like my body from like my waist down. Like I didn't like how my legs looked because like
Mhm.
my thighs were like a lot bigger than the other like girls that I would see in like their thighs were smaller, so it's like my thighs were just like bigger than theirs, and I really did not like that at all, and I would always try to kind of like hide it. But I feel like over kind of like quarantine was like last year in 2020, like I kind of like overcame that, and now I'm like actually embracing it because it's like my thighs aren't that big though. It's just like compared to like everyone else that I would see, it was like they were always bigger from like my age and stuff. And so that used to bother me, but I would say that I feel like now I guess that's kind of what makes me feel beautiful. I don't know. Yeah, I guess. What about you?
Oh, I feel like, yeah, definitely what you said. During quarantine, since I wasn't comparing myself to other people, I felt like my prettiest because I didn't have people to compare myself to. And even now, the transition back to school, I found like, I think especially my eyes make me feel really pretty because really that's all that shows with the mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess my hair is a pretty like defining characteristic of me.
Hmm.
Um
Your eyes are really pretty. Just want to say that because your
oh,
eyes.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I just I think everyone's features, especially like ethnic features, always complement them.
um,
Like I love the look of nose bumps. Maybe that's just me, but
no, that's good because like a lot of times people get made fun of that for like
mhm,
stuff like that, but um, it's like a part of their. I would say like a part of their ethnicity and like
mhm.
their culture in a way. So like you said, like ethnic features do make people like look really nice and stuff. So
Yeah, well, as we've seen, the only reason people get made fun of that for that is because it doesn't fit into the Eurocentric beauty standard.
yeah, which reverts back to the whole topic that we're talking about now. It all stems from like white people basically and what they see as pretty a lot of times.
Yeah, and
And yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry. Especially being someone who's first generation. I think everyone is going through that right now, and that's why we're having this big era of the beauty standard changing because it's changing to fit the beauty in ethnicity.
Yeah, which I would say is actually really good because there's been like it's been for a long time where like people who have those like different backgrounds and cultures they have to kind of like I would I don't want to say hide per se, but like they can't really exactly like flaunt that beauty part of them when they're here like in America or like or in a European country. But
Yeah,
with like how it is now, I would say it's more like people are being more accepting and stuff, which is definitely really good.
yeah,
So
that is true. Because there's, well, I was trying to look it up for this episode, kind of the definition of our beauty standard in 2021, and there was no exact definition
mhm.
because I think the media, if you portray yourself with enough confidence, you will be perceived as beautiful.
I definitely agree. Confidence is like a huge part in it, especially because there is no one way to be beautiful. Like there are so many different things that can make you beautiful, and so to like try to narrow it down to one thing would just be, I guess, in a way like taking away from the other things that make other people beautiful as well. And so I'm glad that I'm actually, yeah, I'm glad that you couldn't find like a straight answer for that, because that's good and that shows, I would say, improvement on like how, I guess, the world is progressing in a way. And like you were saying with confidence, because a lot of times people who someone may not deem as like attractive or beautiful or pretty, but then they have this confidence, it makes them like 10 times like more beautiful, because it's like, oh wow, like they have this confidence and this thing about them and like this energy where it's like, oh, like I don't care what you think, even if you don't think I look good, like that's not my problem because I think I look good, and that's all that's really important.
Well, looking at the early 2000s, the typical white woman was the beauty standard. To be pretty was to be skinny and have fair skin and Eurocentric features. Today, the beauty standard has evolved. This evolution has correlated with the growing demand for cosmetic surgeries. Everyone demands an hourglass figure. Take a look at any celebrity or influencer. The rise of BBL surgery has grown, especially in 2021. There are stores literally dedicated to the look of body alteration. Just look up Fashion Nova's website and nod in agreement. The hourglass body takes the curves of ethnic women and gets rid of the so called unwanted, meaning they demand a flat stomach. And anyone who goes to the gym will tell you those results are hard to achieve. So many have gone under the knife. And this is not to shame those who do choose to take that route, but let this serve as a caution sign. The BBL surgery has been deemed to be the cosmetic surgery with the most mortality rate. Getting a BBL puts you at the risk of suffering blood clots and excessive blood loss and preliminary complications. So, what are your thoughts on people going this far to achieve the beauty standard?
Okay, so well, first let me say what a BBL is in case like there's anyone who doesn't exactly know. But it is BBL is a Brazilian butt lift, and so putting injections into your buttocks to make it
Yes.
bigger. Anyways, so I would say that I definitely feel like, okay, people like, I know people all the time say like, oh well, if they want to do that because it makes them feel prettier, it makes them feel happier, then you should let them do that. And like, okay, yes, I'm all for like letting people do what they want, but at the same time, you know that deep down where it's coming from is because they feel like they have to fit that beauty standard, and because they feel like what they have already is not pretty enough, is not beautiful enough. So it's not always just, oh well, this is what makes me feel comfortable. Like, yes, you should feel comfortable, but you should also feel comfortable in your own skin, not feeling like you have to go through surgery to feel comfortable. And so like I've had like conversations with different people about this, and like first from some people who are like, well, why are they like bashing people for getting plastic surgery? Like if that's what they want to get, then they should. And I do agree with that. Like you shouldn't bash people for it, but at the same time, like you were saying, it's just like as a warning, like it's not exactly healthy. Like literally, so many people die from getting this, and so I don't see why you would put yourself at that risk just to fit the beauty standard that shouldn't even really be the like I don't know if I should yeah, it shouldn't be like beauty standard anyways, because like the whole like normalizing normal bodies thing, like not everyone is going to have an hourglass. Those who do, like that's great and you look good, and then those who don't, you that's also great and you look good as well. So I just feel like everyone who goes through some sort of plastic surgery, they know deep down it's not just, oh, it's because I feel comfortable, it's because they feel like they have to fit that beauty standard that should even exist in the first place.
Yeah, definitely. I see where you bring that up, and people are scared to bring that up because it's a very controversial topic. And it is sad that people would go to that length to fit into the what society deems as beautiful. And that's kind of why I want to go back to the Marilyn Monroe thing, because a lot of people were getting their breasts done, and now people are getting breasts like um they're reducing
Hmm.
what they got done because bodies are going in and out of trend, as bad as it sounds. But before, everyone wanted to be skinny, and now everyone wants an hourglass body.
Yeah, I definitely see that, and it's just like how we said, like it's switching, like people like then like you were saying like the P shape, like they wanted like their breast to be bigger and then like flat all the way down, but now like you were saying it's like more of the hourglass thing. And that, and how you were saying like those who are getting breast augmentations, a lot of times now they're getting breast reductions. So it just shows how people keep changing their bodies to fit society's view of how a body should be. And how a body should be is how like the way a body quote should be is the way your body's made, because I feel like your body is made the way it's made for a reason. And your body's like it's helping you, I guess I don't know if I could say helping you survive, but anyways, like your body's there for you. It's not for you to like try to make all these changes to and try to like do all these, I'm gonna say it, unnatural ways to try to change your
Mhm.
body. So that's why I just feel like I don't know, I just feel like plastic surgery in general is just it all stems from what people deem as beautiful and what people see as the the high thing, like what's quote on the market right now. That sounds
Yeah.
selling things, but like you know what I mean. So yeah,
Yeah. Cuz at first cuz at the time I was very insecure about my nose and I was all for plastic surgery. But I realized that stemmed from my need to fit into the Eurocentric beauty standard
mm,
because I don't think I'm the ugliest, you know? But at the time when I had considered even joked about it, I was very young and impressionable. And I guess that's the problem with this surgery is because it's really popular and people will go to such lengths to get it. And of course, it's very sad because sometimes they don't even come out the way they wanted to.
exactly. And then they find like another problem and feel like they have to go through another surgery to fix that problem or something as well.
Yeah. I remember the influencer's name, but she kind of did a whole review and breakdown after she got the surgery, saying she still felt like she wasn't enough, and she was still going in and analyzing how it could be better. Her body, that is. And it's terrible because you're going to such lengths to alter your body just to come out with more body dysmorphia.
And I also feel like you'll truly never be satisfied with how your body looks until you just like I feel like you have to tell yourself I'm okay with how my body looks and my body is perfect just the way it is. Because like I was saying before, like when I had those things with like my thighs and I didn't like my thighs or anything like that, then I eventually like just had to keep telling myself like, okay, well I can't change it. I'm not gonna get surgery because I don't want to risk my life doing that. And so I just have to accept it for what it is, because at this point, like, I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
you have to accept your body for what it is and love your body, because your body is your body. And I just think like yeah, I just feel like saying it and speaking that thing into existence, like I love my body and I'm okay with my body. That's when you'll really have like be satisfied with your body and be okay with it. And also, I do remember a time when I think it was probably like maybe 2 years ago, possibly maybe last year. I'm not sure, but I would always kind of tell myself like, oh yeah, like I wish I could just like take my stomach fat, like my not my stomach, but like my belly fat, and like move that to like my butt, or like I okay, did I ever really consider getting surgery for it? Like obviously when I was older, but
Mhm.
I'm not sure. I think I did. Like I was kind of like, if I ever like make enough money, like I'm gonna do it. But then it's like at the same time. Then after a while, I was like, okay, wait, that's actually really stupid, because once again, like my body is the way it is, and I should just like accept that, unless it's like becomes like a health thing where like I'm not healthy, but it's like I'm still healthy, so I should just be okay with my body because my body is my body, and I shouldn't try to be making all these changes to it that are, like I said before, that are just unnatural.
That is something I wanted to point out. The fact that people are rushing to get this cosmetic surgery, but then they were hesitant to get an actual medical surgery.
Mm.
So looking at this, it's because everyone else is doing it. Let me go do it too.
With people rushing to um get like a cosmetic surgery but not a surgery that's like for their health, like when you hear that, you would think like that literally doesn't make any sense. Like shouldn't you be focusing more on your health and your life than trying to go and rush to get a surgery that could possibly take your life, and that's like you're risking your life by going through that surgery, which any surgery you're, I guess in a way you're risking your life,
Yeah.
but obviously like a surgery that's like helping you so that you continue to survive, and then a surgery that's just for you to like quote feel prettier or feel better. There's like a clear, I feel like there's a clear choice of what you should choose there, and a lot of times people aren't choosing that clear choice.
Yeah. I've come to notice that the TikTok algorithm put a lot more BBL content on my For You page, and I found that the reason for this is because of the funny BBL trend where you act like you have one. And I guess it's it's very consequential because you're exposing very vulnerable and influential people who can be influenced very easily to this surgery to once again fuel another insecurity that they didn't have or did, and it just added on to it.
Okay, that's definitely true. I didn't think about that too much, but you're completely right with like the like feeling fueling insecurities or adding on to insecurities that people already had. I know I've kind of gone through a little thing with that, like seeing things on social media of like people with like that hourglass figure and different things like that. I would say like for like a brief little moment, I would be like, oh wow, I really don't have that. Like, oh shoot, like I do I look bad? This isn't that.
Yeah.
Like start overthinking it. But then I kind of like catch myself and I'm like, wait, remember, you love your body. Like, don't try to feed into this like what has to be the beauty standard and what you feel like, oh, like if you don't have this and like you're not pretty or anything like that. So I just try to like remind myself of that because I really don't want to like fall into that because I feel like it is like a cycle, like almost a never ending cycle that you just keep going back and forth with like, oh, I don't like the way I look or whatever. And social media is really influential, especially for like younger people. And when younger people, even people who are younger than us, because we're both 15, and like when people see those things, they're gonna start thinking, "Oh, is my body not enough? Do I not look good enough? Do I have to be slimmer? Do I have to have this hourglass figure?" But it's like, no, you don't necessarily have to do that. Like, you don't have to look like that. And so I just think it's really important to like that, because especially because like younger people, I feel like they're just like kind of like vulnerable, and so and also gullible in a sense. And so
Yes.
when you like have all these things on social media that are like, oh yes, like having this hourglass figure, this and that. But then those younger people will start to think, oh, my body's not good, and that, like you were saying before, would like add on to their insecurities or even introduce insecurities that they didn't even have before. So yeah, I think in a way with that, I don't know, like I just think it's kind of frustrating, honestly, and I don't want to like take away from people who do have that because they should also love their body as well. But I also don't want it to be like it's forced on other people who may not have that type of body.
Yeah, it is really frustrating because I've experienced this firsthand. I was never called flat, but when I did get called flat, I was very young, you know?
Hmm.
And it was by boys who were exposed to social media and to pretty Instagram models. And it's crazy that like other people can also inflict that on you, you know? I've always been really small and I had no problem with that until I got onto social media.
Yeah, I definitely see how that could happen because a lot of times, like you would be fine completely, and then once you start seeing those different things of what other people look like, you start to like wonder, like, oh, why don't I have that, or I wish I had that, or this and that. And I also think something that may happen a lot. I don't know if you've experienced this, but I just started thinking about how like even in like I would say like with some like extended family and stuff, it's like they kind of well, okay, so with my like Nigerian background, I would say like something that's like really prevalent in a lot of women is that they have like bigger butts and stuff. So like being that I don't, I've kind of been like okay, so it was always like put out as like a joke in a way, I guess. And I'm just lucky that I didn't actually take it seriously for like people to like they like, oh, like you're flat or like you don't have a butt or anything. But a lot of times if they continue to do that to maybe someone who was younger than I was, then maybe that could actually affect them to where they're that like they actually take it seriously and that really like makes them start thinking that something's wrong with their body. So I guess I would say that I am grateful and fortunate that I never took it too seriously to where it like completely affected me. But I also think it's important to mention that we shouldn't try to like um inflict that on younger people that like, oh, well, you don't look like this, so like like there's something wrong with you or anything like that, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. They just have their body and that person has their body, and that's okay. So well, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean because coming from a Hispanic background, the same thing. Latina women have curves, but once again, I'm young and I'm still developing, and my parents and my family will all make the jokes. And there was a point where it did get to me, but then I reminded myself they always compliment me on how small I am at times, and there's they it just reminded me that you may think you're not beautiful, but in someone else's eyes, you are.
Hmm.
And I'm I would overanalyze myself, and they would tell me, "Oh, you don't have any hips when you dance." And of course, it was in a joking manner, but I guess since I was so young and impressionable, it kind of grew to be an insecurity.
Hmm.
But now, as I've grown and I understand that I'm still developing, I don't feel like I have to fit into that anymore. I
And that's
think something else we could bring up is possibly definitely clothes is what made me insecure at one point.
wait, expand on that. Like clothes, like in what sense?
I feel like definitely I feel like how clothes fit me. There are times where I think, "Oh, if I had a butt, I would look so much better in this outfit."
Okay, yeah, I think I definitely understand you, because I've literally had those thoughts too. Like, oh, these jeans don't look good on me because of like I don't have anything, or like because my thighs look weird in them, or something like that, or like this shirt doesn't look good on me because it like it's too tight or something like that. So yeah, you're definitely right with how clothes can affect it as well, and how that can also add to people's insecurities and add to what they feel like they have to look at or look like. Sorry, look like.
Yeah. I guess I never really noticed it because it was kind of something I would tell myself in my head, but I never really think about too much, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, I
Because
one of
even
the
when I'm shopping, I guess I do have that goes through my mind.
well, I agree, because sometimes when I'm like picking out clothes, I would maybe like put something back down because I'm like, oh, this seems like it's for like more of like a curvier person. It's not gonna look like good on me. So I definitely understand what you're saying there as well.
Yeah, especially looking at websites like Fashion Nova or any Instagram boutique, they always cater to someone with a very accentuated hourglass body.
Yeah, I think okay. So I've only like looked on Fashion Nova maybe once or twice. But I remember the first time I got on there, I was like, oh, this is not for me. So I was just like, yep, what is this? Because it was like all the basically like all the clothes were catered to, like you said, curvier women, and I was just like, oh, okay. I don't think this would maybe look good on me because I don't exactly have like I don't know if I should say have the I don't know. I don't like the phrase have the body for it. Like I hate when people say that actually, because really, like I think I saw this post. It was like clothes are made to fit you, not the other way around. So you shouldn't try to like force your body to like change for clothes when really you should be making the clothes change for you. Which I was definitely like that literally makes so much sense, because
Yeah,
why am I like trying to change my body for these clothes that are man made? But it's these these clothes I should be trying to like change the size of clothes or whatever for my body, not the other way around, which could just add on to insecurities as well. So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, if you look on that website, you can see almost every model has the same body type,
yeah.
or at least last time I checked.
No, I definitely agree, because also like a lot of them have like lip fillers and stuff. So that also shows like um I don't know, would a lip filler like be considered a plastic surgery? Let me say
I
I don't
think
know.
it would.
Okay, well, yeah, like it seems like all of them have done some type of cosmetic thing to their bodies in one way or another. I'm not well, let me not say all of them, but
Mhm.
it seems like a lot of them have.
Yeah, again, this is nothing shaming people who do get work done, but seeing seeing that, especially on social media, it can fuel a lot of insecurities.
Definitely, because people who like maybe don't have those types of bodies will start to like think, oh, this is the only thing I'm seeing. So it's like, is there really anyone else who has a body like me that's like maybe not this curvy or not this slim? And so then they start to like think that there's something wrong with their own body when that's not the case at all. And I would actually say majority of people don't have bodies like that. Actually, I would say majority. It's just what gets shown on social media is coming from that. That's the same way with like why people Photoshop their pictures. And I mean, it stems from a place of, oh, my body has to look this certain way because that's what like the thing is now. That's what the trend is now. So I have to like change my body or Photoshop these pictures so that people think that's what I look like as well. And I've also talked to someone who was saying like, why do people bash people for no. They were saying, why do people use the phrase like, oh, don't feel bad about your body, like so and so photoshops all their pictures. And they were saying, what's wrong with them photoshopping their pictures? And I was like, I get that. And I do understand that. I guess like I said before, like if it makes you comfortable, it makes you comfortable. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. But at the same time, that can goes back to like feeling other people's insecurities. And then that person was saying how, oh well, like it's not their problem if like if other people are getting like insecure from that because that's not their fault and that's not their intention. And they didn't tell that person to get insecure from that. And I completely understand that, but that's like, I guess I feel like that's the same thing as like saying, well, I don't know if that's really the same thing, but like I guess sort of similar to like someone like driving down the road or something, and then they weren't paying attention, but it wasn't their intention to hit another car, but then that person in that car died. And it's like, oh, it wasn't my intention though, but it's like that person still died though. Like I know that wasn't your intention, but that's what happened. So that's like an extreme example, but um, I would say it's kind of similar to that because it's like obviously, yeah, they're not going out saying like I want to make these people have these insecurities, but a lot of times that's the product of what happens. So I just think it's important for people to realize that not everything, like I know people say it all the time, but I feel like people still don't really like believe it or try to use it in their life. Like not everything you see on social media is true and like it's not all real. So you shouldn't try to fit your body to what you see on social media because a lot of times it's not real anyways. And I guess like I said before, if it makes them comfortable, it makes them comfortable because, well, I mean, if you want to Photoshop your pictures, I guess go ahead. And if you want to get plastic surgery, I guess go ahead. But at the same time, you should, well, especially with the plastic surgery thing, you should think about the long term effects that it can have on your life.
Yeah. Um, Going on with people photoshopping their photos. This is why I mean, I can't say I love her, but I do like that Tana Mongeau. She she doesn't hide it from her audience that she does Photoshop her photos.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the difference between her YouTube account versus her appearance on her Instagram, you know? And I think if people, flat out say, hey, I do Photoshop my photos, it would be such a step forward, especially in, people who do compare themselves to these Instagram models. And we're in an era where that is where some people are getting their income from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think being open about it instead of trying to like hide, or maybe it's like they don't even necessarily have to say it up front. But if someone was to ask, they shouldn't lie about it. They should just say like, "Oh yeah, I do Photoshop my pictures." Then that would like, I feel like that could help a lot of people to realize like they don't have to try to fit um to this one way of how a body should be. Okay, so this comes to a close of our episode. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I definitely enjoyed recording it and I enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on. That's the gist. See you guys next Saturday.
Bye.